Hey, welcome back to the Major Morgan Show. We're going to talk a little bit today about something truly American, and that's muscle cars. Because no one's ever built muscle cars like the Americans have. According to Auto Insurance, top 5 muscle cars of all time start out number 5. 1968 Ford Mustang GT 500 KR. This car is hot, it is beautiful, and it is fast, 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 boys. There are less than 1,000 of these things made, and there's even less around today because, you young guys, you get a fast car, it doesn't last in one piece very long. This car was unlike any other car because it wasn't designed with NASCAR in mind, because back in the days of NASCAR, when it was still NASCAR, instead of what it is today where they go and they build a car strictly designed for the NASCAR track with all the restrictors and everything on it. This was not. This was a car that was made for the everyday guy who wanted to go as fast as he could in one straight line. And the KR on this, incidentally, stands for King of the Road. It wasn't a car that I would go ignored, put it that way. You saw this car coming, your head turned. The car was listed as having 335 horsepower by Shelby, but that number is kind of like deceiving because it had a lot more horsepower than that. The reason why they did that was to have the car cost less on insurance for the everyday guy who wanted to buy this car. The 68 Ford Mustang GT 500 KR featured a massive 7-liter supercharged V8. And it was just ungodly, the power and torque that this thing had off the line. If you're looking to pick up one of these today, be prepared to drop some serious coin. If you can find one in bad shape, not good shape, 130 grand by today's market. That is an unbelievable car, just unreal. Number 4 on the list is yet another Mustang, and I like this one actually more than the KR. The 69 Ford Boss 429 Mustang. It's widely considered by most to be one of the most unique Mustangs ever made. The Boss 429 Mustang was created by Ford in an attempt to improve NASCAR results. In other words, just blow everything else off the road. Because back then, they used to take these cars straight off the line, take the glass out, put a roll cage in, put your netting up, and you're on the track. This car could do just that, and it would perform with every other car and beat a lot of cars out. Of course, a lot of cars that you drive on the track depends on the driver, not the car. It was a hand-built muscle car. And that's kind of hard for a lot of people to believe in the United States. When you start looking at foreign cars like the Lamborghini, which is handmade, this car was actually a handmade car, and it was made to order. Whatever the person wanted on it is what they got. It never really achieved the desired results that Ford wanted for it as far as the American market, but those that sold. Unbelievable. 375 horsepower and 0 to 60 in 7.1 seconds. That's moving, folks. That's moving down a track quick. And if you're looking to buy one of these Mustangs today, you could look upwards of about $220,000. That's a lot of loot. But it all depends on what you want. That car, to me, well worth it. Number 3 on the list, this car, made by Dodge, probably one of their prettiest cars they ever made. especially in the white configuration that they had, the white outside, the red interior. It was just absolutely beautiful car, and would absolutely get it. This was put out 2 years prior to the Plymouth Hemi Cuda, and Dodge decided to capitalize off the growing popularity in NASCAR. And in 1969, Charger Daytona Hemi had an impressive version of the Charger. Only 70 Charger Daytonas were made with a Hemi engine. So everybody tells you, oh, they got a Hemi in this, they got a Hemi in that. Yeah, check the engine first. Everybody thinks they have a Hemi. They're not even sure what a Hemi is half the time. Hemispherical pistons, kids. That's all a Hemi is. It's for better compression, better fuel usage, more power to the drivetrain. That's all it is. This car is really incredibly hard to find today. If you ever do find one, take as many pictures as you can if you can't afford to buy it, because this thing is absolutely stunning. Beautiful car. The Charger Daytona Hemi experienced its greatest success in NASCAR by winning the Talladega 500. And the Talladega 500, one of the most popular races in NASCAR history, hard to repeat. I think that Richard Petty was the only one to ever repeat back-to-back on those. It is also the first car in NASCAR history to eclipse the 200 mile per hour mark. That's scooting. Now, if you want to try to buy one of these, good luck. I mean, there are so few of the cars made, and so many fewer left in existence today. You're looking right around $400,000 just to start. Yeah, and anybody who has one of these, they're not going to let go of it easy. It'd be really hard to get it. Number 2 on the list, it seems like everybody has a friend or knows someone who has a Cuda, but they're not all Hemis. This is specifically the 71 Plymouth Hemi Cuda. Spectacular car. I mean, Mopar put all their engineering into this one, because this thing is really an American sports car looking car. I mean, it has American written all over it. Every car on this list really does, but this one, it's just something different about it. There are only 119 of these suckers made, and they came in weird colors like plum crazy, titty pink. You got unusual colors with Plymouth and Dodge back in for their sports cars. The current price for one of these, are you ready? I hope you're sitting down. Is, if it's in decent shape, $425,000 you can expect just to start. Just to start. And a pristine Hemi Cuda was recently listed for $2 million. That's a lot of loot, kids. That's a lot of loot. And the car is best known for its designs, but it had a feature of a shaker hood scoop in a wide stance. I mean, this thing could take corners. You wouldn't have to worry about getting up on 2 wheels. It would stay planted on the ground. Had double sway bars. I mean, this car, it was kind of ahead of its time for the street. Most cars that were designed at the time for muscle cars weren't made to take corners. They were made to go one straight line really fast and then stop. Not this car. This car could do it all. Straight curves, it did not matter. Now, one of my favorite cars of all time is number 1, which I find that amazing. It's just a beautiful car. If you even see one of these, you're lucky, because there's so few of them left. The reason why there's so few of them left is because this car was so daggone fast that the people who bought it wanted to try to use all the horsepower and ended up tearing them apart and a lot of times killing themselves in the process. There were only 69 of these ever made. It's a 1969 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. This car is absolutely stunning. It had everything. It had it all for a muscle car. It had the rarity. You couldn't get it, so you wanted it. It had more speed than a man needs to have, and it had a motor that sounded like an atomic bomb going off. This thing would just roar down the road. It had a 427 V8 in it, unbelievable engine, and it was all hopped up. The horsepower on this varied because it all depended on who was tuning the engine, but they would go anywhere from 400 horsepower to 475 horsepower, and they would scream, absolutely scream. This car was basically designed for the NHRA, for the drag racing fleet, and it would get it. These cars were absolutely beautiful. If you get a chance to see one of these cars in person, take it. Any of these top 5 cars, actually, if you get a chance, I mean, take a camera, fill it up, because chances of you seeing another one of these cars in the top 5, slim to none. They don't give a price on what the ZL1 would cost at this time, probably because there's so few of them in existence today that no one would want to get rid of one. Truth be known, there's probably less than 10 left because a lot of them got cracked up really easy. Now that brings us to the end of the Major Morgan Show. Time to leave the post. Attention! Now pray to God, salute the flag, and clean your guns, because we the people still love this country, people. Still love it. Dismissed!